Okay, so we added the first thing that he asked us to add, the first controller. So he asked us over here, add 2 keyboard sensors, one for the up key and one for the down key. All right, so I'm going to add another sensor for keyboard. And I'm going to, how did I name, I need to look at my own naming convention, which was up keyboard controller. So we'll call this down keyboard controller. And we go here and we press the down arrow. All right, we have now added our 2 controllers, just like he said in his tutorial. I'm assuming it's a he, and that's very sexist of me. Okay, the name matters because we're going to call these sensors by name. So we will remember our thing. For the up sensor, also enable the tap option so that this sensor only registers once when you press the key. Else, it also registers a second time when the key is released. Okay, we only want it to go one time. That's good to know that they do that in this way in Blender. So let's find, okay, so it seems to have tap already done. Oh, maybe we have to click on it because now it changed color. Okay, so that's just the tap for the up arrow. Connect both of these sensors to the Python controller so that the Python script runs when either of these buttons are pressed. Okay, so he shows a little bit of this. This is just connecting these like this, like we did before. So there's a little thing here. We drag it over, and a little thing here, and we drag it over. We drop it. All right, so that's working. And we could, let's see, we could just test this. That's a good practice. Every time you make a little change, you should test the little change. And we got no errors, so very good. Okay. Now add a motion actuator to and connect it to the controller. Rename the actuator to move. We're going to use this actuator to move our car when the up button is pressed. Okay, so the actuators, we didn't have to do this before, I don't think. So you add a game property. Oh, wait. Maybe not. Hold on. Let me pause it for a second. Oh, sorry. You may be able to add it through add a game property, but that's not how I did it before. So let me see. Okay, so I go up here to add. Now that I remembered, it's either one of these adds. Oh, it's the other one. Okay, so we go to add. And we add an actuator. And let's see. Motion. Okay. So what else does he say? Now that we've added the motion, add a motion actuator and connect it to the controller. Okay, so he or she wants us to just go from our controller, which is our Python controller, that's our script, and we're going to go over to that. There we go. All right, and we can test that. No errors. Everything's good. Rename the actuator to move. We're going to use this when the up button. I'm fine with keeping that as move. I think it's descriptive. Okay, so that's where we name it. Okay. Now we're going to add 4 more lines of code underneath own equal cont owner, so we can access our new sensors and actuators in the script, and we're creating another variable for speed, so make sure your thing looks like this. Okay, so first I'm going to just copy and paste these, but then let's talk about what names we changed and how we should change ours to be the same. So before, this was cont, so everywhere we had cont before, we now have to replace that. What this little line of code means, a dot means that what's ever to the right of the dot belongs to what's in front of the dot. So move is being assigned to the move actuator. So we're creating this variable called move that helps us get a handle on it again. And it's associated, so when we created the controller for the car, all of its actuators get combined in, and this actuator belongs to that. We also have to change this. These are our sensors, and we have to change it to what we named them. Okay, and we have to make sure that dot follows right along. So our sensors that belong to this, and this is our up sensor, and we're attaching it to press up, and we have a press down. So we're going to do that. Now the other thing we changed was own. He's not using own yet, so we'll be okay. And then speed is move.dlock1. I do not know what dlock1 means. Oh, change in location 1. Okay, so sorry, I forgot. We'll go back and see what he says about it. Take a look at move actuators move. This accesses the actuator named move from a list of actuators. If nothing was defined, then all actuators would be put to the list, but instead we want just one, because we're going to have different commands for different types of actuating. And then we have the press up and press down. Those are activating the sensors. Those are when the sensors are allocated. And the last line, our speed, is the move actuator is actually already, because it's a motion actuator, there's a whole bunch of programming under here that you didn't have to do, and you could just be grateful and thankful that you didn't have to do it. Someday you can contribute to the overall project and do it yourself, but we didn't have to do that. There's a whole bunch of stuff that comes with move, and we want to move the vehicle on the y-axis, so he's calling the second value of the dlock list. So the dlock is, D is usually a thing for change, lock is location, X, Y, and Z values. So we could move in 3D, but we want the second value. They start numbering the values at 0, so the second value is what we get when we put a little 1 in there. And this is called an array. We will talk about that probably next week. And he talks a little bit about that. In short, with this line of code, our variable speed will now equal whatever the y value is at the time the script is run. Okay. Now that we've declared all of our variables, we're going to add a couple of statements to determine if up or down is pressed, and then have both keys trigger different things. In brief, this is what we want to happen. Whenever the player presses up, 0.05 is added to the Y value in the motion actuator, increasing the speed more and more with each key press. Whenever the player presses down, Y value is set to 0, making the car stop. We'll start by defining what happens when you press up. So this is when we were doing our simulation. When we were doing our simulation, we had velocity. We'll just call it speed in this case. So our car now has a speed. When we start out, our speed is 0. And what they're saying is if the up arrow is pressed, then change speed by 0.05. And then they also have if the down arrow, then set speed to 0. That is what they're about to do. Since this is a forever loop, it needs its own starter. There we go. Then set speed to 0. So those are the two options that we have. Oh, I guess I could make this more simple. I could just move that in there. There we go. Okay, those are the two options that we have. Dun, dun, dun. Go back to his script. All right. So this is if pressing positive, we're going to, oh, he does two things. So he changes the speed, and then he moves based according to the speed. And then apparently we have to activate the move script. That's when we are actually running the script. Because you could have tons of scripts associated, and you will eventually have tons of scripts associated with your characters and things, but you only want them to work when you tell them to. Okay. So we kept all of this stuff the same except cont. We named it current controller for car. So we're going to have to change that. Okay, this changing speed this was increasing our speed and then we move. That is how we did it when we did our falling ball, but now I'll do it for the car. So in this case, we will move the car in X, and what we'll do is change X by speed. Oops. Oh, sorry. I'm into Python now and I forget. I have to drag it over. There we go. Okay, so this is what we're doing with this little bit of code here. We're going to continuously change speed. This is only if the press up, and then we're going to move the car based on the speed. Okay, we can come over here, and then I'm gonna, oh, it's not currently working yet, so we're missing one thing, but we don't have an, oh, we do have an error. Requested item move does not exist. Okay, so here's where our errors showed up. Interesting. Okay, so there is one step we're missing. I'll press escape and I'm going to come back to that in our next video.